is a fear that somehow technology, with all its advancements in artificially developing intelligence, could replace or minimize the role of the teacher. That is absolutely not the case when it comes to education. It means that the teacher now has a more powerful tool with which they can exercise their duties.
Yeah.
And on that point, let's remember the important role technology plays in automating numerous jobs, setting up reminders, communicating effectively, paying bills at the touch of a button, and shopping for the most basic items. But we can never completely substitute human interaction. Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I am your host, Audrey Williams. We have lots in store for you, so don't go anywhere. We'll return after the news.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, June 2, 2023. As the island enters the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is calling on Jamaicans to take the necessary precautions to protect life and property. Mr. Holness is reminding persons to listen for and adhere to warnings issued by credible, relevant authorities. The Prime Minister was delivering his keynote speech at the National Disaster Risk Management Council meeting on Thursday. He emphasizes that the time has come for a no-nonsense response to the threat of natural disasters.
We need to take planning for natural disasters far more seriously, because the impact to us is existential. Meaning, a natural disaster could potentially wipe out the country. Jamaica, like many Caribbean countries, we are extremely vulnerable to natural disasters, and the human and economic costs are substantial.
According to Mr. Holness, the government has put policies in place that provide access to crucial funding in the event of a natural disaster, one of which is the National Natural Disaster Risk Financing Policy.
Jamaica became the first country in the Caribbean, and certainly the first small island developing state, to issue or sponsor a catastrophe bond. The bond is effective it is for 3 Atlantic tropical cyclone cycles, so that would end in December 2023. And in the event of an event that qualifies for payout, Jamaica would be protected up to US $185 million in rapid response.
$4 billion will be spent over the next 2 years to construct, replace, or repair 32 bridges across the island. This is in addition to $35 million that will be spent to repair rails on 15 bridges in St. James and St. Elizabeth. The announcement was made by Minister with Responsibility for Works, Everald Warmington. He was making his contribution to the 2023-24 sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Wednesday.
The National Works Agency has already completed the design parameters for 8 of 10 bridges that we intend to replace through an allocation of $1.249 billion. Design for another 2 should be completed by the end of this fiscal year.
Minister Warmington said more than 800 bridges in the country are in poor, dilapidated condition, putting Jamaicans in grave danger. The bridges slated for attention this financial year include Troy in Trelawney, Craig Mill in Portland, Spring Village in St. Catherine, and Southwood in Clarendon. Bridges at Barham in Westmoreland, Mahogany Vale in St. Thomas, Penfield in St. Andrew, and Woodsville in Hanover are also to be rehabilitated. Minister Warmington told the House that Jamaica Broilers has contributed $50 million to assist with the construction of the Spring Village Bridge.
I want to advise the people of Spring Village, want to advise Jamaica Broilers and this House that I'm committing that $70 million along with the $50 million from Broilers to commence construction in Spring Village Bridge almost immediately.
There has been a 55.5% increase in tourist arrivals for January and February 2023 when compared to the same period last year. That's according to preliminary data released by Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, Dr. Wayne Henry, at a recent semi-virtual quarterly media briefing. Dr. Henry says Jamaica welcomed 457,996 stopover visitors for the period. Cruise passengers, meanwhile, increased to 300,237 from 110 ship calls, a marked improvement from the 49,870 visitors and 41 vessels over the same period in 2022.
Total visitor expenditure increased to US $761.6 million relative to US $276 million in the corresponding period.
According to the PIOJ head, the hotels and restaurant subsector of the services industry is a strong contributor to Jamaica's positive economic performance. The subsector grew by 30.8% for the January to March 2023 quarter.
The industry continues to benefit from increased travel in light of the continued growth in main source markets and effective marketing strategies.
Still at the press briefing, Dr. Wayne Henry says the PIOJ will this month launch a new online monitoring platform to facilitate real-time tracking of Jamaica's Vision 2030 goals.
The online monitoring platform forms part of the PIOJ's Data for Development initiative, geared towards strengthening national capacity for evidence-based policy and planning through the provision of data on development indicators for analysis and monitoring and evaluation M&E.
According to Dr. Henry, the main features of the platform include an integrated database called JAM Data with social, economic, and environmental data at the national and local levels. It will also include a Vision 2030 Jamaica monitoring dashboard that tracks national development performance.
The platform is accompanied by a JAM Data mobile application that is accessible online free of cost in the Google Play and Apple stores. The PIOJ is currently engaged in site testing and improving offerings to meet stakeholder needs.
The online monitoring platform will be launched in partnership with the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. And finally, Minister of Gender Olivia Grange is urging persons who are having domestic conflicts to utilize the plethora of resolution services offered by the state. These include the domestic violence centers at police stations and the Bureau of Gender Affairs. Minister Grange made the appeal as she condemned the recent killing of Police Constable Damian Blair. In a press release, the gender minister said violence among families is one of the most troubling aspects of the violence besetting our country. While reiterating the ministry's resolve to stem domestic violence, Minister Grange called on well-thinking Jamaicans to report acts of violence. Persons are being urged to call the Bureau of Gender Affairs helpline to access counseling at 876-553-0387 or 876-553-0372. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
We need all Jamaicans to know that child abuse is not just an issue for the government, it's an issue for all Jamaicans. So we need everybody to help us to protect our children. If you know of a child who is being victimized, a child who is abused or neglected, just make that report so we can get that child the help they need. Calling or reporting is easy. All you have to do is remember to call 211. If you are an adult, if you're a child, if you are in church, in your community group, wherever you are, once you are aware there's a child who is in need of care and protection, just be the one and call 211.
Let us now move swimmingly to our next feature, which will bring to light the ins and outs of a life in fishing.
My name is Cardell Anthony Style. I'm the operating manager here at the Boardwalk Farm here in Lightspen, Old Harbour. On a production day or a harvesting day is like, I wake up like probably 4:35 in the morning. Obviously, we'll get the call from overnight saying that we have a pan ready for selling. So they will respond to us, and then we will know based on the amount of persons coming.
Before I come, I would normally use my phone as a mean of advertisement. So I would use my status to advertise. So I would know exactly say, I'm supposed to travel with a 200 or 250 today because it depends on the demand. So that's where I was started. Once I come here, I would contact Grace first to tell her say I would need 200, and then I would come, and then they would draw it from the pan and they would wait, and then I would put it in my cart, and then I would leave and take it to the destination.
So the selling take place like probably roughly 8 o'clock. We finish our stuff like that. We prepare the feeding again for the entire day. Currently we're on the biomar. The biomar feed, it's a floating feed. But when we use the floating feed now, it's like we actually see the amount that the fish is consumed and where exactly the feeding reaches in the water and everything. With the biomar, once you throw it, if for instance the fishes are not feeding, you will find that all of it just floats to the side. So you will have an idea the next day now as to say, all right, this pan is not feeding as well as they ought to, so probably you want to cut back a little bit. Or if you have a pan that is consuming that much, you find out that either you want to improve on the feeding capacity or, you know, the amount is okay.
Our farm is just tilapia. We just do tilapia farming. We started out with just 2 ponds. It was a test run, had a lot of challenges, a whole heap of setbacks, but so far it has improved significantly. So from then to now we are doing way better from then. It is a lucrative business. There are not enough persons. The demand is so much. So based on what the challenges they had, we figured out how we could circumvent those, work again around them, mitigate all of those. We saw where we could have done the same fish they were doing, but get better results. We have always considered farming to be a great option, something to explore. The opportunity came up to purchase this farm. We didn't hesitate. And then the fact that it had, all of these ponds were existing, and then we had the equipment to renovate them, so it kind of cut some of the costs. So we didn't hesitate, and that's really how this started. The National Fisheries Authority was of great assistance and guidance to us in that we knew nothing about fish farming. So you had their resource officers would come by. Like we have a 1 acre pond, they were really integral in telling us, okay, this is your stock density, which is how much to stock per acre, half acre. And then they would come and check, your water quality is not so good, so maybe you need to do this or that. So they have been of great help to us. And initially, our fries were gotten from them. So, they still continue to guide and help us throughout the process. There's a misconception that they tasted like dirt. So persons have now come to realize that that's not necessarily so. They actually taste fabulous. So it's not a set number per day, but say an average size, a 1 acre pond, if you harvest, ideally for me, I would like to get a minimum 4,000 pounds. We have come close to that. So it's based on what you stock, the size of your pond, what you stock and what you recover. Predominantly, they're from all over. I've had one person come from as far as Westmoreland.
I supply the Bagwak region, West Prospect, a small community named O'Malley, Lucky Valley. So I would do that like 3 times per week. They're very good size. Their average size is like 3/4 pound up to a pound. And they're very fleshy and meaty, so they really love them and they're always requesting it, so it's really high in demand. It's an opportunity to start something for yourself. So sometimes if you're not working, you can create something for yourself. Most people may not have a transport where they can transport it, but sometimes you can maybe start with a bicycle or whatever way to start something, to create something for yourself. Make a betterment of yourself and bring the goods to the people because it's high in demand and that's what they want.
I would encourage others, if they had the land space, the infrastructure to do so, with proper guidance though. So get in contact with the National Fisheries Authority, check with other farmers who have been in the business. A lot of them are willing to guide you along the way. So with that guidance, and if you do things correctly, then it is a success, can be very, very successful.
Fishing means a whole lot to me. Whatever you want, you just have to go for it, because you cannot learn to drive in a parked vehicle.
Greatness is in your bones.
I'm unstoppable. I'm a poacher with no brakes. I'm invincible. Yeah, I win every single day.
We're looking for great things this season, and I know you believe it within your very core. And so we have committed to continue the support behind you and in front of you and beside you, so that you can excel and you can do well and you can be your best self.
I'm unstoppable. I'm a poacher with no brakes. I'm invincible. Yeah, I win every single day.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness offers some encouraging comments for our future leaders. Let us have a look.
The first step of wanting to get empowerment and be empowered is you must never be satisfied with the way you are. You must always be seeking to improve. So you must always be seeking more, seeking better, because you can always do better. You can always improve. And I believe that sometimes in our society, we don't always encourage people to improve. Even in our household, we tend to say, well, you're just like your daddy, meaning to say you're not going to be better than what your father or parent has achieved. You go on like you're better than people, meaning to say that we must all stay at the lower stage and not seek to improve ourselves. In fact, there is this thing in our culture that makes it appear as if someone is trying to improve themselves, they're doing something bad. That is true, right? When what we should be doing is to applaud people who work hard and achieve. Right? Yes, that's what we should do. But somehow in our culture, we have turned it upside down. And it is very pervasive in the classroom, because you see what happens is it provides cover for people who are lazy and people who don't want to change and people who are set on a pathway to failure. So they don't want anyone doing better than the average, because then they will have to put out a little bit more effort. Now, if that is allowed to be the common standard in the society, then our society will never improve. So one of the things I want to give you today is that you must never be ashamed of success. And you must always seek to be the best at what you do, to be excellent.
Brethren, the road signs make the traffic environment safe. The green light means go. Red means stop. Amber also means stop. Yeah man, it don't mean you must speed up. And get this, even if the light's on green, when the traffic is thick, don't bother move off and block the intersection. And please, don't stop on a pedestrian crossing. Look out for children, the disabled and the elderly. Follow the signs so they all can arrive alive. Be a good road user. Obey the road signs and look out for each other.
Having a career is advised, but like everything else, it has its own set of challenges. One of these is creating equal opportunities for both sexes to feel secure, heard, and strengthened to perform their obligations. Another is ensuring our actions are not contributing to climate change and endangering the environment. This is why the Jamaica 4-H Foundation, supported by the Jamaica 4-H Clubs, the youth training arm of the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, has partnered with the UNDP to implement the Enabling Gender Responsive Disaster Recovery, Climate and Environmental Resilience Project. Currently, there are 71,269 persons with membership in the 4-H clubs, with 2,311 volunteers. The Engender Project assisted young farmers and fisherfolk between the ages of 18 to 35 through training and certification, enterprise development support, and increased awareness about climate change, all aimed at strengthening their adaptive capacity in becoming more resilient. Training exposures include climate-smart and sustainable agricultural and fisheries practices, value addition and agri-processing, environmental awareness, and leadership. Climate change has the potential to degrade food quality, reduce availability, and disrupt access.
Climate change is real, and we cannot affect climate change. So what we want to do is to get people to adopt to strategies that will make them, be able to survive in this changing climate. So our job really is to bring about awareness of some of the impacts and some of the basically the strategies that they could employ to basically adopt and mitigate this effect of climate change.
Let us dig into the soil of relief that the Engender Project has provided to combat climate change while improving the incomes of young farmers and fishermen. The program ran for 9 months with a series of activities. The goal? Climate-smart business management and financial literacy training was done for participants in communities in Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and St. Thomas.
Implementing the program in these areas, it will in fact address the big issues that its projects seek to address. And one of them is how do we develop resilience in our youth farmers, and how do we help them to create sustainable livelihoods.
To develop a stable foundation for the project, the Jamaica 4-H Foundation and the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, planted 3 important components to ensure trainees reap the right benefits.
891 young farmers and fisherfolk in the 5 parishes, including women, were part of the Climate Smart Agriculture Program.
It is bringing the opportunities that is provided by the ocean. It is bringing farming together, and the key actors are youth and women.
The aquaponics system is climate resilient, and we all know that climate change, global warming is taking place. And being that the water cycle filters, you don't need additional water every day to keep the crops growing and growing healthy. What I've learned new that I've applied to the aquaponics is that I can now store the water from the fish whenever I'm going to clean the tank, and I can use it as a fertilizer base for other crops that I'll be growing.
The benefit of the Engender project is all about reinforcing the importance of consistency.
The crafting of this project is absolutely timely, And we are very, very grateful to the Global Affairs Canada, as well as the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office of the United Kingdom, because they have actually provided resources. And so the UNDP, the United Development Program, and the Jamaica Forest Clubs Foundation, we have worked together to implement this very, very uniquely crafted project.
Through the funding of the Global Affairs Canada and the UK, we were asked to work on this project in 9 countries in this region. And it's pretty much to look at how we can find a way of mitigating and adapting to the impact of climate change through a gender lens.
Equal opportunities in the agriculture and fisheries sector allow more persons to participate in economic growth, strengthens resilience against climate change, and helps pull vulnerable groups out of poverty.
The project in its design had a gender equal formula, and so special emphasis was placed on providing female youth with the opportunity to gain access to resources which they normally would have had a challenge accessing.
Youths in agriculture, the interest is somewhat low, and to have them involved in this production, in this kind of production system, help them to see a way out.
The future for sustainable Jamaica is climate smart.
Setting the stage where all students can come together, whether they are disabled or at risk, and receive all their instruction in a general education setting and have support services come to them, is inclusive learning. We've reached the end of our program. Get a recap of everything you saw here and more on our website, jis.gov.jm. As Desmond Decker says, labor for learning before you grow old, for learning is better than silver and gold. And you know the rest. I'm Audrey Williams. Bye for now.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.